Hello and welcome back. Now, you may notice I'm in some different armor. I went rooting around the area and I found this little thing that apparently you can buy insight with. So I went and bought some armor and some of the items just in there. But what I really want to talk about this episode is I went rooting around the item descriptions a little bit. And I found some items that I found to have very interesting descriptions. So, in just a second, I'm going to go ahead and read some of them that I found kind of interesting. Let's see. I have a list right next to me, so have a quick look. The first one I found interesting was the tiny music box. Small music box received from young Yarnum girl plays a song shared by her mother and father. Inside the lid is a small scrap of paper, perhaps an old message. Two names can be made out, however faintly. Viola and Gascogni. So, what I'm gathering from that is Gascogni was that little girl's, father. That makes that story even fucking sadder. I didn't even know that before. And I probably wouldn't if I hadn't read the item description. But, yeah, that's a nice little thing I found. Totally happy. Next is the pebble. There's nothing truly interesting about it, I just like its description. Just, small pebble found throughout Yarnum. Can be thrown at foes. Quite thrilling. Quite thrilling really gets me. Let's see, what else was there? There was bone marrow ash. Let's see, where the hell is that? Bone marrow ash. According to the medium that strengthens quicksilver bullets, according to the workshop, this is a special bone marrow ash collected from Himwick Channel Lane, invaluable to hunters with weak blood tinge who require the use of stronger firearms. The reason I find this item interesting is I have no idea what the hell Himwick Channel Lane is, and I'm very curious as to if that is a location, if that's an item. I don't know what the hell it is, and I'm very curious about it. So I thought I'd bring that up. Next is the poison knife. A knife slathered in poison. This curved knife is as thin and sharp as a surgeon's blade, often used for self-defense by special doctors in the healing church. They say that hunters traditionally avoid the use of poison, likely because the poison is too slow to act in the heat of the hunt. I find this item interesting, not because, let me get my words straight. I find this item interesting because it's used mostly by the church doctors, people that were supposed to heal, they were supposed to help. Why the hell are they using poison daggers? It's said in self-defense, but they also talk about how in the heat of battle no one really likes to use it, but primarily it was used by the church. It's just a weird description to describe an item that's coated with poison that a church would be using it as its weapon. Next on the list is, I believe it is over here, the Hunter Chief Emblem. I bought this without knowing what the hell it was, and I just now read the description. A cloth emblem that belonged to the captain of the church hunters long ago. Opens the main gate that leads to the round plaza of the great cathedral. The main gate is shut tight on nights of the hunt, and could only be opened from the other side with this emblem. In other words, the captain's return, and this emblem determines the end of the hunt. I think this item is very interesting just because of its lore reasons of when this is here, the hunt is over. I do find it interesting that apparently the chief of the hunt has to carry this emblem around with him at all times and is almost completely the determining factor if the hunt is over by opening a gate, which I already did. And I'm very glad no one's come out of their houses, because if they did, they'd all be getting slaughtered. But I digress. Next is actually in the armor. It is the gray wolf cap. Attire of the retired hunter Dejura. This worn wolf cap was his trademark. Dejura is known through his contact with the powder kegs, the heretics of the workshop. He is said to have been both uncommonly kind and dreadfully foolish. Dejura felt defeated by the state of old Yarnum and renounced his hunter's vows. The reason I find this item interesting is this is the item that told me the name of that hunter I killed at the top of that tower. I find this item to be very curious because it gives some lore on the dude. It talks about how he was kind, how he's foolish, and how he just gave up being a hunter. And I didn't actually think you could really give up being a hunter. Which makes sense why whenever he kills you, he says the sentence, forgive me if I butcher the sentence a little bit, I should think you should still have dreams. Like, when you go there, go think about some of your actions. So, when you renounce your... Apparently, you not only can you renounce being a hunter, when you do, you can no longer return to the dream. I can only speculate why that is, but we'll move on to the next item, which is the black church garb. Attire of the Healing Church hunters, the holy shawl, symbol of the Healing Church, flutters proudly on their backs. Most Healing Church hunters are elementary doctors who understand the importance of early prevention of the scourge, achieved by disposing of victims, and even potential victims, before signs of sickness manifest themselves. Their black attire is synonymous with fear, and that peculiar Yharnam madness. The reason this item sticks out to me is the sentence, before signs of sickness manifest themselves. To me, that gives a free killing card to anyone just wearing these clothes. And I'm the type of person, like me, I don't like it when someone has a free kill card and it's just like, I can murder anybody because, oh, you're sick. So for me, this is a item that is truly terrifying to me. And now we go on to probably the most important item, the surgical long gloves. White surgical gloves that intricate embroidered weaves a spell that protects their wearer. The church engages in the hunt in a medical capacity. When a cancer is discovered, one must pinpoint its location, reach in, and wrench it from its host's bosom. The reason why I said this item is so important is because every time you get a critical attack in this game, your character doesn't attack with a weapon. They always use their hand and do something to your opponent. Like, they reach in physically with their hands and yank something out. The reason why I said this item is important is because it gives the lore reason why you could potentially be doing that. There is a tumor within almost every single Yharnam creature that you kill, apparently. And every time you critically attack someone, you're reaching in and ripping out part of that tumor. It's interesting to think about. And that's a lore reason why you attack the ways you do, instead of just like in Dark Souls, where your weapon kind of decided what your counter was going to be sometimes, or even what your backstab animation was going to be. Just a small thing of interest. And those are the only items I found that I found interesting. If you know any other items that might hold anything, let me know. I really like lore shit, so... Well, now that that's over, back to business. Should I cut this episode and just name it lore? Now, I'll just progress. Actually, yes, I'm going to cut this episode now and just name it something like lore or some shit. For anyone that just wanted to hear some interesting item descriptions. Alright, see you in next episode.